Hey everyone. I was watching Kevin Thompson or MJ Knight, depending on how you look at him, what you call him. And he was doing a video blog on his thoughts on current events and issues going on. And I thought to myself, I haven't done something like that in a while. I mean, yeah, I've done some video blogs, but it's mainly to let you know what's going on, let you know what's gone on over the past week, sort of like a journalistic, like, oh, this is what happened when my family came to visit kind of deal. So I figured, why not do a video blog finally where I just give my thoughts on certain things going on that I've listened to and watched on television, as well as read and listened to and watched online. So these are my thoughts on some of the current issues and stuff going on. First of all, I'm pretty sure one of the most talked about news items going around is over the past week was, ever since the unfortunate passing of Whitney Houston, was exactly how was she going to be remembered? What kind of service was going to be held for her? Was it going to be a public service at the Prudential Center, or was it going to be private? Well, surprisingly, it was, well, not surprisingly, it's a private service, but not entirely a private service. You see, ever since it was announced that it would be invitation only private service, a lot of fans weren't too happy about that because they wouldn't have the opportunity to say goodbye in person. But I guess a compromise was reached to where you may not be able to be there physically to say goodbye, but you could actually still say goodbye by watching it on television as well as watching it online. Basically, news is going around that news has gone around that it's going to be streamed online and on television. Channels like E, BET, CNN, among others, maybe even ABC and NBC and CBS, are all going to be broadcasting an uninterrupted. Well, basically, they're going to be broadcasting the funeral uninterrupted. So that basically means that even though fans may not be able to be there physically at that church, they'll still be able to, like I say, through the television and through the computer, be able to say goodbye to Whitney one last time. Now, again, I look at this as sort of a win-win situation, because even though we can't be there physically in person, it's still the next best thing, and it also gives the family and friends a private time. So, to me, I think it's a win-win, and it's a great compromise. Some other items I want to talk about. We have two new movies that have been announced for a potential 2014 release. And I'm pretty sure if you're subscribed and you've watched clever movies here on YouTube or shows like that, you pretty much have an idea that Transformers 4 has been announced. A fourth Transformers film has been announced. Michael Bay is back on board with it. The only question is, how is it going to fit into the continuity, because that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to fit into the continuity from what several sources have said, but it's also going to be a bit of a reboot. How's that going to work out? My two opinions, one of my thoughts and opinions that I speculate at is it might be a flashback on how basically the war began. That's the only way I can look at it, because you got all these video games now, which are beautifully created, beautifully and graphically made, that kind of focus on the prelude to them coming to Earth and how the war began and all that. So that's one area I think they might go in. The other area is they might try to continue it on, maybe in the future, years in the future or something like that. They're talking maybe a new cast or something like that. We're not really sure. A cast of humans and that, all that. They're also talking about the fact that the movie is going to be more action than comedy now. So it's going to be more action-packed, more action-based. Speculation might be that they might finally bring in Unicron, for all we know. We don't really know that yet. But seeing as though Transformers Prime, which is based off the second film, or based off these films, is focusing on Unicron as we speak, or has been focusing on him. We might get that as well. But those are two areas that I speculate and look at as possible areas for them to go with the fourth film and to kind of keep it into the continuity. The other film that's in the works for 2014 release is the new Ninja Turtles movie. Michael Bay, of course, also on board with that one. They've got a new director. And apparently, this movie will be released by the same people that are releasing Transformers, which is Paramount. The question is exactly what it's going to be. Everybody's been talking about a reboot, basically another retelling of how they came to be and how they met April. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. Speaking of TMNT, the talk about the new television show, the new series on Nickelodeon, coming on Nickelodeon. This is what I say about that. I say about the new TMNT series, let's give it a chance. I mean, I gave Wolverine the X-Men a chance and I thought it was good. Fans have given Iron Man and Armored Adventures a chance and they thought it was good. I even watched Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes on Disney XD, and I gave it a chance and I thought it was good. To me, honestly, this is what I say. Let's give this a chance and see exactly where they go with it. The only things I think people can gripe about is the fact that April O'Neil is going to be a teenager herself. That's right, they're going to make April a 16-year-old according to several sources. Donatello is going to have a tooth missing, or a chip in his tooth. Raphael is going to have a crack on his body shell, if you know, his body shell, if you will, his chest shell, I should say, right about here. Michelangelo and Donatello's weapons are going to be upgraded or changed up a little bit. Michelangelo is going to have the same kind of weapons that Maxie in Soul Calibur has. Donatello is going to have a weapon that's like a bow, but it's got a blade on top of it. So those are some of the significant changes. And the foot soldiers, they look like, you know, they're almost right out of the first movie, so that's going to be pretty cool. Shredder looks like he's almost out of the first movie, except he's got that kind of like scarredness on his face or something like that. Basically what it sounds like is they're combining the 80s cartoon with the 2003 cartoon, as well as throwing in some elements from the live action movie. Because Splinter is no longer going to be the pet rat, it's no longer going to be a pet rat anymore. They're going to go by what they did in the cartoon series. He indeed himself is going to be again Hamato Yoshi. So to me, let's just give this a chance and see where they go with it, and maybe it might be better than we think. Another thing I want to talk about is a new group started up over at the DA site, DeviantArt site, called the Anti-Mecha Sally group. I know a lot of fans out there will shit on this group. They'll say this group can go to heck. This group could go fuck itself and all that. Let me explain something about this group, which I'm a part of and I'm one of the contributors of. This group is not about, oh, let's get rid of Mecha Sally, let's see her destroyed, and let's get Ian out of the way. No, it's basically our way of trying to send a message. It's our way of sending a message that we want Sally back to the way she was. For those like myself that are sort of like in the middle, we're sort of in the middle, if you will, that, you know, we're just standing by and seeing where he goes with it. Basically we want to make sure, basically our thing is, you know, again, we may stand in the middle and just see where he goes with it, but we basically want to see her back to normal maybe sooner than usual. And with recent events happening in the more recent issue of 234, let's just say some fans may not want Ian around much longer, but that's not the point. This is not about getting rid of him. This is basically about him doing what he did, and some of us that, you know, like I said, like myself, that are in the middle, just standing by and see where he goes with it, that don't like what he's done, this is basically our way of saying, look, just put it back to normal, we're used to her being like that. You know, and again, I can understand why some fans would be against this group. And why some fans have said, oh, you guys are obsessed. You guys are obsessed. The truth is we're not obsessed. We're not obsessed fans. We just want to see her back to the way she was because we're not used to it. It's like some fans out there that are fans of Amy Rose and Rouge the Bat. How would you feel, how would they feel if Rouge and Amy, if Ian was allowed to, were put in a similar situation? How would they feel if Amy and Rouge got turned into robots? Would they like it? Probably not. But I'm just saying this is how we feel. So by using those two as an example, they can kind of get the idea of what would you do if this happened to them. Now, with what's happened, like I said, in the more recent issue of 234, from some of the details and small details and specifics that we've gotten, apparently Mecha Sally has nothing to do with what happens to somebody. No, instead it's Eggman causing the metal version of a certain blue hedgehog to self-destruct. So that's all I'm going to say on that, because we don't really know much specifics. We don't know whether this character is gone for good or this character is going to be alright. But that's all I can say. All I can positively say is Sally had nothing to do with it, as far as we know. Now, where Ian goes with this is beyond me. I don't know if maybe he might write in the next issue that what happened to this character might trigger something in Sally that might slowly start to override the modified powering. We don't know. But all I know is this. The reason, again, all I know is this. I believe this character is not going to be gone. I think this character is just going to go through a certain change. Now, as far as the Mecha Sally group, anti-Mecha Sally group goes, it's not to have the Mecha Sally destroyed. It's not to get Ian Flynn fired. It's basically to have the character restored. That's all it is. And again, using the example, how would fans of Amy Rose and Rouge feel if Ian, if he did the same thing to them? How would he feel if he did something similar, if he could, to Blaze? How would they feel? You see what I'm saying? They probably wouldn't like it. Maybe some would, but maybe a lot wouldn't. We don't know. But that's basically what this group is about. And it's growing. It definitely has grown. I mean, it's got affiliations with certain other DA groups like Anti-Archie and SatAM Forever. It's got a lot of new membership. I mean, the membership is just rapidly growing in the past 2 to 3 weeks. The contributors have grown. It's just growing. And for those that want to shit on it and say it shouldn't be taken seriously and it can go fuck itself, you guys got to realize this. Sooner or later, this might be a group that will be the determining factor in the future of a certain writer's spot on the comic. Not saying he should be fired, which he shouldn't be, but just probably taken off of the comic that people like to read. Now, again, that's all it is. That's all it could be. And for those of you at the Bumble King forums, whom I understand are not too happy about the recent events of 234, you yourselves may end up jumping on the bandwagon of the anti-Archie and the anti-Mecha Sally. You may jump on the bandwagon, even those that at certain forums like Sonic Stadium and Sega forums and all that shit on this group. You yourself someday, you may not know it now, but you yourself someday may join several of these groups. Oops, because of how you feel, because of recent events that have occurred. So that's my thoughts on a lot of these certain issues going on that I've read online, watched on television, watched online. Give me your thoughts down below if you like. Comment if you will. Video response if you like. But these are just my opinions, my thoughts. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. Thought I'd get off my chest. I want to throw a thank you out to Kevin Thompson, MJ Knight, for kind of giving me the idea to do this. And I will talk to you all later.